2000.
No, I already discussed with you why radiometric dating isn't accurate.
No,
it's based upon something that can't be proven. So uranium lead dating. Let's go into that.
You said I believe in radiometric dating for Pompeii, but I have to disbelieve it for other claims that threaten my religious beliefs. And you don't have any kind of logic that works for that.
No, you were just trying to speak for me. There it is. You were just trying to speak for me.
Okay, why do you accept the radiometric dates for the site of Pompeii and not
I never said
others?
I accepted. I said I had to go look and see what they dated. I don't know if that's true.
I said, are you aware that they have accurately dated it? And you said, sure. And then after we went through the whole thing, then you said, well, actually, I don't know how accurate
you did add that in at the first time you asked, are you aware that they used radiometric dating? That's what I was answering yes to. I didn't know you threw that in the extra part. Did you know they accurately dated? I didn't hear you say accurately. I don't know if you said that.
Oh, that's just not true.
No, that's just.
Can I ask you about the limestone thing? So why do you think the laws of physics were different during Noah's flood?
And again, I have to look into the heating equation again, what you're looking at, because obviously I see there's arguments against it.
He has no answer for this.
Oh my gosh! It's because I'm not exactly informed of the specifics of the equation of it that you bring.
No, you need to come up with your excuse for how the laws of physics were different.
No, you can come back tomorrow. We can discuss it. All I have to do is take me one day to look at a couple papers about it. Come back tomorrow. I'll be streaming before I do something.
Do you think it's reasonable to just think the laws of physics were randomly different in the past?
What?
Do you think it's reasonable to think the laws of physics were randomly different in the past?
We're calling it laws of physics. We're talking about changes in how systems produce. Do you know, right? Through many different geological chemistry reactions, different amounts of enthalpy happen through different causes. So therefore, different amounts of heat could happen. So therefore, we could talk about how all those different heats are generated and then come up with all kinds of different ideas about how that heat was generated. So it's not just an open, closed subject like, oh, this is much heat. We can have debates about how much
creationists that know how to calculate this have completely conceded this point.
Why do you keep talking while I'm talking? Because all you have to do is wait. You see how fast I talk. I'll finish. You don't just interrupt people because you debate on TikTok all the time. You just need to learn some decorum, right? I'm just trying to help you understand. You just listen to people. Okay, so you asked me a question. That's fine. So we could go into dating methods if that's what you want to talk about. We can talk about anything else, but we can talk about dating methods. Do you want to talk about more about dating methods?
No, I just want to talk about, we're kind of having a discussion on uniformitarianism in a way, but this is going to sound like a tangent. I promise you it's not. Do you think that the universe is finely tuned?
I think that it's very specific. Yeah, I think that God made it for a reason. Yeah,
okay, so if you're going to say, so there's a thing such as the decay constant, right? That's one of the constants.
Radioisotope?
Yeah. So that is one of the constants. So to deny the billions of years that incontrovertibly are shown through dating of meteorites and things like that, to believe that the rate of decay was different in the past, you have to betray your belief that the constants are finely tuned. To believe that the rate of enthalpy or whatever during Noah's flood was different somehow, you have to betray the finely tuned universe you believe in.
No, because
yes, you do though.
If we look at this, right? It's fine if we betray if it's not true. So what we do is we actually do real science and we determine if something is actually true. If we think something is true throughout the past, it's really a question of historically looking at can we say that's true now? Just because we observe it now, we know, for instance, that carbon-14. Radiometric dating, the actual rate would have been different. The actual amount of parent to daughter isotope ratio would have been different. We know that's probably true for uranium lead as well. For carbon-14, we know it's absolutely true because we can see the decay of the Earth's magnetism, which actually governs and protects us from the cosmic rays.
That doesn't change the rate of decay. It changes the rate of the formation of C14.
If you were listening, there's another assumption besides rate of decay, which is parent to daughter isotope ratio, which we don't know what the original amount is, right? Now, the popular argument with uranium lead dating is...
They have methods for that.
Let me see if you understand it. I can go into it. So you said it earlier, zircon crystals expel lead. Why is that?
I've read the reason. I don't remember. It's very, what's the word? Not esoteric, but it's very specialized mumbo jumbo.
I couldn't
commit it to memory.
It's basic chemistry, but there is a physical nature to it.
It's not basic. It's pretty advanced.
It's just polarity, man.
Saying it's just polarity isn't a description of why it happens that way.
Yes, so there's different polarities between lead and the crystal lattice. And so in chemistry, we have, obviously the expulsion, we have polarity differences that actually expel each other. So that's one of the reasons why it's expelled from the crystal lattice, right? So people say that's why it's a good method. That's why zircons are good, because they supposedly expel lead, right? So therefore we know for sure that there was a known parent to daughter isotope ratio, but that's just not true. And we could see that through all kinds of different, like if we look back, then we could see there's all kinds of different amounts of lead in there that could supposedly contaminate that. We could look and see there's helium within the crystal lattice structure. The helium diffusion of that zircon crystal is still there. So therefore we knew that not only was there different amounts of lead, but the rate was actually different. If there's still helium within the zircon crystal, that diffusion rate would have eliminated it out. It wouldn't still be in there. We wouldn't still be able to measure it. And by the way, zircon helium diffusion is another way to date. It's a pretty accurate way to date. And we can date it. And if we date some of these billions of years old rocks, we get thousands of years, we get 6,000 years, we get 7,000 years based on the helium diffusion rate, which is a known constant, which is accepted among all scientists of whatever creed you want, the helium diffusion rate out of zircon crystals. We can measure that. And that shows us that the rate, in fact, did change. If we're looking at how much lead there is and the amount of helium, we could say, yes, the rate, in fact, did change.
The rate of decay or the rate at which...
Yes. Because we have
okay, well then you believe the laws of physics were different in the past.
No, it's not a law of physics, my friend.
The decay rate is a constant. Is one of the finely tuned constants in our universe.
It's not a law of physics. I'm sorry. That's an assumption, right? It's not a law of physics. I don't know if you understand what laws of physics are, but that's not a law of physics. So
what isn't a law of physics?
Well, how many helium atoms are released every time we get a half? How many helium? Every time.
What are you saying is not a law of physics?
The decay constant is not a law of physics.
I didn't say the decay constant was a law of physics.
You just said the decay constant is a law of physics.
No, I didn't. I said if you say that the rate of decay was different in the past, then you're saying the laws of physics were different in the past. The law we would be talking.
Change for that to happen. Just the circumstances will create that, right? No, it's not a law. Like if an environment existed that was nothing like we see today, for instance, there would have been a global flood, and there's so much proof of that actually being true. You don't accept that. That's fine.
I've looked at it.
High-pitched giggle you want. You put whatever high-pitched giggle you want. It doesn't matter.
The sedimentary layers are not sorted by density, and the fossils completely contradict it.
I could bring up the scientific arguments which you wouldn't be able to refute about why the flood did happen. And you wouldn't be able to refute them.
There isn't a shred of scientific data that can support the flood. The layers are literally not supported by density. That can't happen.
Hours I've talked with you. You're just saying can'ts. Wishes and nuts don't make candy and nuts, my friend. You're just wishing. All you're doing is wishing.
Says the guy that believes in magic.
You would have actually taken on the merits of the argument instead of just making all these wishes you're making.
Buddy, I wrote a book about this. I looked into your claims. They're horse shit.
Books and they're wrong all the time, right?
It's called the Bible.
And you just ran from it because we're talking about helium diffusion. You don't understand it. You just laughed and moved on from it. We're still talking about uranium lead dating, and you moved on from it.
I didn't move on from anything. You're the one that brought up the flood. Who brought up the flood?
What?
Who brought up the flood? So you brought up the flood, so I didn't change the subject.
I would have just mentioned it, but you started laughing at it, so that's fine.
And then what you did was dishonestly say that I ran away from the topic, implying I changed the subject when it was you that brought it up.
What did you just go on a tangent on then?
You're the one that brought up the flood.
All right, let's stick to uranium lead dating then. So my argument again is the fact that we have helium still in there, by which we understand how the rate of helium forms, how many atoms form per uranium decay. We understand this. It's a known science. It's a known rate. This is accepted by everybody in the rate at which it goes through. We could see if there's any actual crystal lattice damage, through any kind of radiology, gamma rays, anything like that. We understand cracking. We can see all this. But if we find a good zircon crystal with heliums and we can measure that, we understand that the rate definitely changed because we can look at how much lead. And we know this helium only came from the decay of uranium to lead. We understand this. So the rate had to have been different.
Then you believe the laws of physics were different in the past.
No,
and radioactive decay is a law. There's an equation for it.
What's the law? I mean, what are you saying? It's a law through the rate. all kinds of things.
The
have
law
equations.
of radioactive decay.
Do you think that because something has an equation, it's a law?
Laws are, not every law is describable with an equation, but huge numbers of them are. Have you heard of the Hubble-Lemaitre law, for example?
Oh.
Have you heard of Boyle's law, Hooke's law, the ideal gas laws? All of those are equations.
You can let's say, but
What kind of chemist are you saying?
You're trying to move past the fact that you just thought that just because something has an equation means it's a law.
I didn't say that. I said it is a law. It has an equation.
You're just trying to list all the laws randomly in your head to try to move past the fact that you just thought just because something has an equation, it's a law, and you had a moment brain.
I never said that.
We have Boyle's law and all these ideal gas laws. It's like, oh my gosh, like,
buddy, you are humiliating yourself.
These arguments.
I never said that.
You're humiliating yourself. You just thought that.
I know you are, but what am I?
Law. What? Are you a child? Oh my gosh. All right.
That's what you're doing right now. I didn't do that. You did. This is like the 5th time you've done that. Peterson, why are you going on this random tangent changing the subject? You're the one that brought up the flood. And you're the one that engaged with it.
You're just trying to filibuster. That's all you're doing right now. Because you got caught. You're embarrassed. Because you don't know science. You don't understand.
Buddy, you don't have the ability to embarrass me. You believe in fairy tales.
But you just like, all you have right now is a following, and people will gift you because they don't understand either. They're lemmings. But all the things you brought up are not good scientific. We brought up uranium-lead dating. You said the rates were consistent. I gave you a scientific measure. Ian debated me on the way. He was embarrassed. He had to shut his live off, by the way. He shut his live off. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. He shut his live off because he's embarrassed. He didn't know how to debate this either. So you didn't have any argument
literally appealed to changing the laws of physics in the past.
Let's refute my argument then. Why is the helium diffusion rate not a way to determine that the rates would have been different back then?
I don't know about this specific helium thing.
Why didn't you just say that? Why did you just go to the laws of physics must have changed?
I was letting... You're the one that said that they change. You said we have a change in the rate of decay in the past. That is a belief in the change. Yes, it is.
How? What law?
The law of radioactive decay.
That's not a law.
Yes, it is.
The rate is not. The rate,
what
is not
is your definition of a scientific law?
Oh my gosh. Like, we have it labeled as a law.
The rate of decay is described by an exponential decay function. N, I don't know if that's as a function of t or what, equals n naught e, which I would assume is the, what's that constant called? The e, it's the natural log or whatever. Negative delta t. Like, there's literally an equation for it.
As someone who's not even related
you
to
assume
STEM.
that because something has an equation, it's a law. Sorry, go ahead.
I never, once again, I didn't say that. I said it's a law and we have an equation for it.
Check on Peterson. Radiometric dating methods are not scientific laws. Their decay rates are not laws.
I didn't say that the methods are laws. That radiometric decay occurs is a scientific law.
The decay rate is not a law. I just looked it up. It's not a law.
I just looked it up and it is a law.
I can literally search up scientific law right now. What does it say? A statement that describes a phenomenon in nature often expressed mathematically, which is what Peter is saying, that has been repeatedly verified by observation and experimentation.
Yeah, but this has not been verified very well, so it's not considered a law.
That's a ridiculous thing to say. So, host, I have a slightly different question, but it's within the framework of what we're talking about here.
I can go a little bit longer.
Sure.
I got fame there.
If the universe is 6,000 years old, well, is that what you believe?
I actually do believe it's somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 years, and think there's good enough scientific arguments for that.
Cool. If the universe is only that old, what is the acceptable range of answers for how far we should be able to see?
So because of like people who have models of this, Dr. Jason Lyle, the one-way speed of light, we understand that that's different. Let me pull up something else here. Right.
So you believe the laws of physics were randomly different in the past once again?
Wait, it's really simple.
Speed of light was different.
You just multiply the distance that light travels in a year by 6,000. It's really simple.
No, that's not it.
Yes.
So you think the speed of light was different in the past, so once again you believe the laws of physics were just different in the past.
That's not the...